For a team that has more or less won everything in the turbo-hybrid Formula 1 era, Mercedes has been brought back down to earth with a shattering bump. For the first time since the 2009 British Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton was knocked out in the first part of Formula 1 qualifying on pure pace, finishing 16th in quali at Saudi Arabia. You could say it was a big slap in the face for Mercedes and Hamilton, bigger than the slap in the face that Chris Rock received from Will Smith at Sunday night's Oscars. Hamilton looked all at sea in qualifying for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Differences in setup between his and George Russell's cars contrived to carry the latter into Q3, as Hamilton struggled to find grip over a single lap. He finished 10th as a result, leaving him to quip, and there were even points for that position at the end of the race. Russell, by contrast, had a lonely race to 5th. His only real battle of the day took place early in the Grand Prix as he dispatched Ocon, but was unable to catch the leading Red Bulls and Ferraris. Overcoming the hurdles placed by the 2022 rule set will prove to be the team's sternest test, as it looks to get back within the cut and thrust of the front guard action. In pace terms, Mercedes has over half a second to find to be in regular contention for poles, and more than that to restore the advantage it had previously over the other teams, so it's not going to be the work of a moment. Mercedes is still trying to find the sweet spot in the setup of the W13, hence the large delta between the two cars in qualifying. Team principal Toto Wolff explained the difficulties in finding the point at which the Mercedes can consistently sing after qualifying, adding that the differences between Hamilton's and Russell's setups weren't hugely different. He added after the race that the team's start to the 2022 season had been an exercise in humility, and he wished that the team's cars could join the fun games in the battle for the lead. Setup aside though, there's bigger problems at stake with the W13. One is the inability to get on top of the porpoising issues, which inconveniently remain hidden within the confines of the wind tunnel and thus makes it harder for the aerodynamicists to explore. The other is in the relative lack of straight-line performance, where the suggestions are that Mercedes hasn't been able to find as much from its power unit as the other manufacturers have been able to, something unfortunate given the 4-year engine freeze currently taking place. Russell says that the porpoising problems account for 99% of the car's issues, which has restricted Mercedes from running lower ride heights as the car begins to oscillate wildly as downforce builds. Being able to isolate the issue may, if the wind tunnel continues to yield no answers, require further experimentation on track in practice sessions. Being able to break the car out of its natural heat frequency will go a long way to curing that, but it may require a redesign of the floor to achieve it. For Hamilton, it must feel like a repeat of the 2009 season, a year in which McLaren got the new aerodynamic regulations wrong off the bat and had to sink a lot of resources into finding the problem. Then it was very clear where the gains could be found. Installing a double diffuser and following the rest of the field down the path of an outwashing front wing took the team from Q1 eliminations to victories and podiums in the second half of the year. That said, the Mercedes isn't anywhere near as troubled relative to its rivals as the McLaren was 13 years ago. The W13 is still among the top 3 cars on the grid, and on a normal weekend it should have 5th and 6th places at its beck and call. But it's not simply on the agenda for a team used to winning races. Mercedes knows where the majority of its problems lie, it just simply has to find out how to fix them. But how about any powertrain concerns? As of now, there's been no tacit admission from Mercedes that their engines have any larger problems. But power on the straights did seem to be an issue for all of the Mercedes-powered teams. It could just be mere coincidence that all 4 teams using Mercedes powertrains, Mercedes, McLaren, Aston Martin and Williams, have simply struggled with getting on top of the aero side of the new regulations. But we could tentatively speculate that the switch to E10 fuel has resulted in further obstacles in recovering power from the internal combustion engine. It might be the case that the short-term pain could be Mercedes' gain in the long term. Armed with the knowledge of how to dial out porpoising with the new regulations, it can carry that forward into future seasons, while the teams with a more charmed start to life in 2022 can encounter those bumps later down the road. Lewis Hamilton, George Russell and Toto Wolff have confidence that the team can turn around a suboptimal start to life in 2022, and if there's anybody to turn the tide, you'd have to bet on Mercedes to do it.